we're trying this. I'm going to do it every 2 weeks, and it'll pick up.
Yep.
Pick up.
Build it, they will come, Steve.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the theory behind everything. It's like it's annoying. Just looking over here at another pillow my new dog destroyed.
Yeah, and that's my Keurig you hear in the background. So just the noise will simmer down in just a moment.
All right, so I'm just going to put up a whiteboard here while you and I chat.
All right.
What the heck that was?
So you're saying this is on YouTube also?
Yeah. Finally figured out how to do that.
What's the name of the YouTube page? And that's for anybody to watch it on YouTube instead of using Zoom, like an alternative?
Yeah, although you can't talk back in
Nice.
chat.
Oh, okay, it's view only. I gotcha.
I got to make up a graphic, but anyway. Twice monthly meetups, second and fourth Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. So the purpose of this, and I'm just going to leave this up for a couple minutes so I can when I trim it down, this will become the slide that shows up on YouTube. Okay, so a few things that we're bringing to market now, which will be useful for investors. First of all is the Real Estate Community Network. And this business model is built around regions, or what are called MSIs, market service area, MSAs, market service areas. Basically, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Hazleton is an MSA. A little different than TV markets, but kind of sort of the same idea. It's roughly 75-mile radius. It's a Census Bureau driven like metric. So what will happen is, depending on what MSA you live in, you can choose, it'll display the groups that are in your MSA, the meetup groups, which all get free websites on here, and all the profiles are free. Right now, everything is free. We're not charging for any of it. Well, a little bit on Hunting for Homes. I'll get to that in a second. Forums, same thing. There'll be forums as well, and for each MSA. So basically what that means is MSAs divide the country, wonderfully artistic version of the country. You know, of course, you've got the states, but then each state, you know, like this is Pennsylvania. We're one of the unusual ones where our MSA is completely contained within the state. Luzerne, Lackawanna, Wayne, Pike, whatever counties.
And I'm sorry, what does MSA mean again? I'm sorry if you already said it.
Market service area. There's another word. There's another word of what MSA means. Hang on, let's look that up.
I gotcha.
Metropolitan statistical area.
Oh, all right. I never would have guessed that. I thought something service area.
Yeah, no, a little fancier. But in some states, the MSA actually crosses a couple state borders. So it's not really a state thing, but whatever the MSAs are, we're going to stick with those because that's pretty much what people commonly know their region as. And so you'll be able to focus your view of RECN, or you are, I shouldn't say you will, but you are able to focus your view of RECN based on your MSA. So when you sign up for RECN as a member, and RECN stands for Real Estate Community Network, it's a free social network for real estate investors. When you sign up, you'll be asked to, okay, which markets, which areas do you want to be, you know, affiliate yourself with? And then you'll be offered the chance to apply for whatever groups you want to apply for. And the reason I say apply is because they have the right to charge you a fee if they want to. I'm not getting involved in that. But
Right.
you can friend them, whatever. I'm sure there's no charge to friend them on Facebook, so I'm sure there's no charge to friend them here. But basically, these two areas, groups and forums, and tenant reviews, which are part of forums, are all MSA based. There's national, state, and then MSAs. So you can look at everything you can post on the national forum. You can ask a landlord question on the national forum, and you'll get answers from Maine to Virginia, California to Arizona. Or the smart answer is you post a landlord question on the state or MSA that you're dealing with, because what good is a California answer to a Maine landlord? It
Correct.
doesn't help.
Yeah.
Tenant reviews, which actually is getting a name change tonight. I keep forgetting to do that. That is the Experience Action Project. This is the review section. You cannot advertise yourself in here. What you can do is you can say, I used Jim Straub and he was really helpful. I rented to Janie Thompson and she was a complete pain in the butt. We couldn't sue her, but we knew she was doing something wrong. And here's why. Here's the pictures. Here's the information. Here's the evidence. Here's my experience. It's about your experience with someone. It's the Experience Project. Marketplace takes you to REI Post, which we'll get to in a second. Library is a linked library of tools and calculators and blogs and podcasts and whatever people find useful they can submit to the library. And then education takes you to our education tool, Real Estate Investor Army. And basically, other than that, it is a complete clone. It's a social network, just like Bigger Pockets. We offer you to post stuff. We offer you to, friend each other, communicate with each other, message each other, da-da-da-da. People have asked me why go from the Facebook group model over here. The primary reason is what you post over here is more easily searched. If you ask a question in any, including ours, if you post something on the group site, it's chronological. It's going to get filtered down as more people post more stuff.
Right.
Ours is all searchable, number one. Number two, we offer a forums thing, which is much more searchable than anything else. We offer a pretty powerful forums program, actually. And number three is the only people on here. In order to become part of this group, you have to prove that you have some level of interest in being an investor. This isn't, Tammy Tennant can't come on here and pretend she's a landlord. This is for investors. This is for people who actually have either a knowledge base or an interest in. One thing we are going to start doing in third quarter of this year, maybe we'll wait till fourth quarter, this COVID thing, is, we'll wait till fourth quarter, is we're going to have quizzes. Not required, no expectation, no requirement. But if you want to be certified as someone who has experience or knowledge, there'll be two different kinds of quizzes. Experience, asking how long you've been doing whatever. Knowledge, if you want to be considered an expert. That way, when you get an answer from someone, if they don't have a certification, they might be wonderful, they might not. Who knows? If they've passed some of our quizzes, you at least have some idea of where they're coming from. We're not promising you they're right. We're just trying to give people some way of knowing who's a beginner and who's not. And really throughout, this is where we have, as I've said before, an empty store with no product. The product is the content. This really depends on people coming and putting their content, putting their questions, putting their whatever in here. And like I said, everything is free. And, please come and play and whatever. Now, when we hit the marketplace button, it opens up REI Post, Real Estate Investor Post, another one of my products. And this is the Craigslist of real estate investing, basically. This is everything you would ever want to know or advertise. This is all Not all stuff for sale, but mostly stuff for sale. People for sale, services for sale, investors wanted, funding, education, passive REI, commercial real estate, blah, 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 blah. Again, you'll see lots of zeros. It's a store with no product. I'm populating it with some product this weekend, but this is a way, and again, it's based on the location market model. We decided this time to only go by state. We probably will go MSA in the future, but right now we decided to go by state.
Okay.
We are slowly growing in the MSAs, as you can see. My partner Mike is handling this.
So
And-
what this whole REI post or this whole RECN thing, this is a nationwide thing that we're plugging into, or it's something
Well,
you're
no.
developing to take nationwide?
This is this is mine. Basically, if
Okay.
you remember, I've been talking about building a site like this for years.
Yes, and I
And-
remember it. It's growing. I like it.
Initially, it was as recently as our March meeting or February meeting, whatever our last meeting was. It was, oh, I'll launch it in April in NEPA, and then by the end of the year, I'll roll it out nationally.
Hmm.
And even though it took us longer, I kind of hoped we were going to be to it earlier in the COVID mess. I decided, you know what? People are locked down. They need this. They need a place to come and meet and to chat and to stay focused. I tried to get one off the ground during COVID that was called Don't Panic, Adapt, but nobody really showed up to that either. But so I decided to go the other way. I decided, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to launch. I wanted to launch it regionally and test it. And then when I knew the software could handle it, I'd just blow it out. Mike and I talked about it. We're like, you know what? Forget it. We're just going to blow it out. We're just going to do it. If it breaks, we'll fix it.
Right.
So RECN is a national product, but only because I'm saying it's a national product. Same thing with REI Post. National product, but only because I'm saying it's a national product. And you see we have a few houses in here. Oh,
Well,
Mike Long put a couple properties in. That was nice of him. He probably should have said $50,000 instead of $50. I'll buy it for 50. By the
yeah.
way,
all of those prices are very low. Look at that.
exactly, they're amazing. They're terrific. This one here, it says 6-unit apartment building in Glen Lyon. Well,
Okay.
if you open it, it'll say Glen Lyon. The problem with this property is it only has 2 parking spaces.
Oh, wow.
Oh no, I'm sorry, it only has 4 parking spaces off street. It's vacant and in bad shape. There is no way the zoning officer is going to let you have 6 units and only 4 parking spaces.
No.
The neighbors will, because you'll have to go to zoning, almost guaranteed, and the neighbors will be there with pitchforks. Trust me, I've done a conversion. Now, if you don't have to go to zoning, if they'll give you a certificate, then terrific. But probably they're going to bust your butts for it. But basically, you see, we have a pretty powerful, active service station. I got to find out more about this gas station here. Oh, we're getting some views too. That's nice. And that's really what I want. I want other wholesalers to dump their stuff on REI Post. It's free. I take nothing from the listings. We take nothing from the marketing. We take nothing from the deal. Eventually, there probably will be a subscription model or something. But right now, it's a store with no product. I have to get product on the shelves. So it's free. The third leg of the triad, and when we talk about this, it's kind of like, it's actually more like a table because there is a fourth leg involved, is our thought process is what every investor needs is okay. So we have the community model, the RECN model. We have the REI, if we use the tripod model, it might be easier. We have CN, we have REI Post. And then the third part is how you get the deals in. So this is all of us communicating, RECN. This is us selling the deal on Post. This third one is how the deals come into the house. REI, well, hunting for homes. The fourth leg of the table is education. So our original business, our original logo, which we'll probably go back to at some point, was the house for community, the house for selling, the house for learning, and the house for incoming deals, for buying, whatever. This
Now,
one is RE. What?
Oh, no, go ahead. I cleared my throat. I was gonna, can I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
We do have somebody else on the call with us, Lorna, so hello.
Yeah, I know.
It's not just you and I anymore, so.
Yep.
All right.
I know. Thank you. Yeah, I saw that.
All
So RACN is the community site. Hey, Raymond, how's it going? REI Post is the selling site. Hunting for Homes is the incoming, the lead generating site. And then of course, REIA is the sales site. So that's the logic behind why these four exist. And they exist separately, not together, because there are going to be some situations like gurus aren't going to want anything to do with REIA because they have their own training. They don't want that. So this way people are able to use whatever piece of it they want. So we have the community social network site that I would love everyone to start dumping their content, whatever. It's very much an ask on this side because, you know, you'll be kind of talking into an empty room for a while. And that's, you know, all I can say is I appreciate it. REI Post, excuse me, is where we're going to sell our deals. Hunting for Homes is where we're going to get our deals. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This, again, is a national brand. Actually, one of my students developed this, and he said, hey, why don't we take this national? And basically, what we're doing with this is a multi-page squeeze page, investor carrot-esque, whatever. We're doing SEO. We're doing it. We're doing SEO. We're doing all of the marketing stuff with it. And the general idea here is that an investor can get their own website very cheaply. An investor can get involved in this, and there's two business models behind Hunting for Homes. Well, three business models. One is anyone can post a deal. If you're involved with us anyway, you're going to get credit for the deal, and it's going to follow your compensation package, whatever. But if somebody just finds this website and decides to submit their deal, terrific. We are happy to take inbound deals. But the primary business model, where it helps most investors, and this isn't you guys, because you guys already have an arrangement, but whatever, is, again, back to the MSA model, where we're dividing the country up into different MSAs. Well, we're using the MSAs as the metropolitan service areas. It's already been defined. And someone can buy this MSA. Now, no one's buying Northeast PA. I'm keeping that. You know, we're going to keep that as a generic. And there's two business models on buying it. There's $200 a year, which right now is $50 a year. You put the lead in, we work it. If you want to be involved in working it, that's great. Fine, whatever. You make 25% of the profit. So it's a passive way. You throw a deal over the wall, you wait, eventually a check shows up in your mailbox. Or $500 a year, which has been lowered to $200 a year. And you get 75% of the profit, and you control and run the whole deal. And what you get to use for that, or with that, is you get access not only to the site itself, not only to all the marketing we're doing with the site, but, and I know you guys are still seeing a white screen, so I'm going to switch it up in a second. But in both cases, all of the deals are run through our customer relations management software. Now, in the second business model, as my partner, actually Ryan and I talked about, we may not get our percentage because they might just take the data and run it themselves. So we may not get our percentage. I don't really care but you know, at that point, whatever somebody wants to do is fine. But what you can do with this customer relations management software, and welcome newcomer, I'll be asking for information from anybody in a few minutes. But what happens when a deal comes in? When a deal comes in through this lead or any form we create for you, we have a very powerful customer relations management software that does several things. First of all, it gives us a great dashboard. Second of all, we can handle conversation. We can manage text messages and everything else through the system. This is one of the most powerful parts of it, the pipeline. Everybody that joins up, whatever, with hunting for homes on the bigger package gets their own pipeline, where only they can track, they and us, of course, can track what happens to their deals, and they can see at every step of the way where in their pipeline their deal is, and they can customize how their pipeline works. So when a new lead comes in, it starts here. When you fill out more information, it goes here, goes here, goes here. So you'll never again lose a deal. You'll never again lose control. You may lose a deal, you're not going to lose control of a deal. Marketing, the software can do campaigns, bulk requests, we can do forms. Campaigns are things like direct email, direct text messaging, direct Facebook, direct voicemail drops. We have form builder, survey builder, reporting. This is everything like whatever that funnel site is. It does everything the funnel site does, everything Podio used to do for me. Scheduling calendars and appointments, reputation management, contact control. And contact control is one of my favorites because I can take a look at the contacts. Oh, here's a new guy. All right. And we see the address he gave for his property, the zip code he gave for his property. And we see everything we know about his property, which right now is not a lot because we have to call him. We can assign tasks to different users. We can take notes. We can track the deal in a lot of different ways. We can set up funnels of how things are going to work as they move through the process. We can set up triggers. Triggers are one of my favorite things. For instance, when a new form is filled out, the trigger says, which it did happen, I just looked at my phone, it did happen, that I get a text message with the person's contact information, and whoever's form it is gets a text message. You know, when they fill out the next form, it does the next thing. Part of what the triggers do is every time a form is filled out, it moves the deal further down the line. Now, for those of you who just joined, I'm not trying to backtrack here, but this is what every 2 weeks we're doing a free online investors networking, education seminar. This is not a training class. This is to replace the investors meetup that we're all used to doing. I just wanted to give everybody a picture of the legs of the table that we're rolling out as I'm launching Real Estate Community Network and a few other programs. This is an online social network for investors that is based around the MSA model. Several years ago, I contacted Bigger Pockets and said, hey, I love your idea. I want to market it regionally. And they said, I have no interest in being regional whatsoever. We're a national product. Well, we're a national product too, except we're a national product where our forums are based on the region that you select you want to talk about. What good is asking a question of what good is a Maine landlord asking a question on Bigger Pockets about how to be a landlord and getting an answer from California? State laws are different. It doesn't help you. The groups, the meetups that we're all used to in the pre-COVID world can be on here. Everything is free. You can stay in touch with your membership through this website. You can stay in touch with all of the things you would do in a social network. Yes, we want to move this off of Facebook onto here because we're more searchable. You'll be able to find more things more easily here. The tenant review site is being renamed as the experience action project. This is where you as an investor tell the experience you had with a tenant, the experience you had with an accountant, the experience you had with a landscaper, good, bad, or indifferent. If you can prove it's your experience, post it here. Marketplace. Marketplace takes us to REI Post, which is our online classified, again, based on the metropolitan service area or market model, so that you're seeing ads and you're posting ads in the area that matters to you. And you're working through the area that matters to you. And this is any kind of advertising related to investors. Yes, you have to somewhat prove you're an investor to post here, or someone involved in the real estate industry. But if you're a guru, if you're a contractor, if you're a landscaper, whatever, this is the place to show off. Who wants to be on Craigslist, where everyone and their brother is a waste of our time? You want to be here where the investors are. And what we were talking about before is hunting for homes. This is where you get to have your own squeeze page, professionally run, professionally managed, professionally whatever, for a pretty low dollar amount. And as I mentioned before, you can throw us leads for free, but for $50 a year, you get 25%, whether or not you work a deal or not. And for $200 a year, you get 75% of the deal. And it's all based on the metropolitan service area model. Oopsie. It's all based on the metropolitan service area model, so you're working close to where you like to work. Now, as we kind of usually do, I want to kind of step down a little bit. Oh, the other guy left. That was weird. Showed up, didn't like what he saw, and left. Okay, fine. So, George, let me just fill you in on. So I'm going to open it up so you guys can chat and ask any questions you've got. George Raymond's another one of my students who's been working really hard, pulling deals together on the commercial side, and other stuff. Any questions you guys want to raise? Any ideas, input, whatever?
Well, I haven't really done a lot of things yet with wholesaling and things. And this whole site seems to be more geared toward that. So what are the tools that might be specific to rookies trying to learn the ropes on that?
Okay, so first of all, the fourth leg of the table is
education.
The fourth leg of the table is the education thing. And George, if you want to keep, don't forget, you paid for the education and training. I haven't bugged you about doing the training on the rest of the, on the rest of the areas, because I'm not sure your interest level, and I know you've been crazy busy, but anytime you want to, that's there for you.
And I do intend to kick that up a notch. I mean, things have changed and things. So yes, you're right. So I can see where this education piece, is this more of a self-guided education thing, a computer-based thing where I can go through? What this
was set up for originally, okay, so I have the paid classes over here. This is sort of set up as a resource. Essentially what happened is when COVID launched, I said, you know what, people aren't going to have money for training classes. So let me find a way to try to generate an army of bird dogs effectively without really asking for a lot of money up front, $25 a month or something silly like that, and really slow down the speed of the training compared to what's available to you, George. You can call me, we can do 5 hours a week and that's fine. Right. But mostly this is a matter of, this isn't necessarily meant as a resource for students as much as it is a way for us to bring things together and organize it. Army crew area, student forums, like when you come across a new deal, and I'm still playing with how to work this out. The first step on any new deal is the new property submission form, which is nothing more than the name and address form, basically. And what happens to that one is that puts the deal here in this first column.
Okay.
Then the next form, oh crap, I hate it when it does that to me. Then the next form, whoops, we'll get to the calculator in a second, is the property condition info form. When they fill out the property condition info form, then we get more questions about beds and baths and beyond. And in the pipeline, it'll move it to the initial data collection. So this kind of, and I do it, and now that I see it, I play a little bit with the menus at some point, but this kind of pushes you down. So then step 3 is web research. This is where we ask you all the questions about What does realtor.com link? What's the Zillow link? What's the Google link? What's the this link? What's the that link? Da, da, da. What are your notes about it after doing all this research? And by the way, I have a new tool you guys can use, RPR. And that pushes it down to the web research tab. So every time you fill out a form, it's pushing it automatically further down. I'm lazy when I fill out forms. When I do stuff, I don't always move it down the line because I don't usually use the official form yet. Then you've got the calculators, which is a much improved calculator sheet over what we were previously using. It's substantially the same sheet, but instead of being 4 sheets, it's 1 sheet. And of course, as always, the first thing you do is you make a copy and you name it after the property and you save it. The second thing you do is you share it. You copy the link, make sure it's anyone can edit. And that's the link I'm going to want you to put when you finish this into our next form, which says enter calculation, enter calculators. No surprise. That's the link I'm going to want here. Because I'm going to be able to, now what's beautiful about this software is not only does it kick it down a column every time, but in their specific contact, every time we, under additional info, every form that's filled out adds data over here. So we gain lots of, all of the information is easily reached as we go through this. Now on the calculators, the first calculator I tell everyone to dispense with is the mortgage calculator. Are you doing a loan or aren't you? Because if this isn't correct over here, and again, it's always change green. Change yellow if you know better. Don't change red. But if your mortgage calculation is wrong, when you go to look at your rental numbers, your cash on cash return is going to be wrong too. So okay. Because cash on cash is based on how much you're paying in mortgage.
And it's all formula driven like in Excel.
So yeah, exactly. It's totally formula driven. I tell everyone that when you first look at a property, trying to think of what I can go to. Well, when you first go to a property, and this could be an expired property, this could be a listed property, I don't care, whatever, not the point. The first thing you're going to do, okay, I'm going to go into Flex, so it's just easier to get to the pictures. So let's say we're looking at, and this was an expired property. I did this exact same thing. Came across this property. Said, okay, it's expired. Cool, let's go talk to the owner. Well, let me look at the pictures. I flip through the pictures and I'm like, okay, it doesn't look too bad from the outside. That's typical Scranton. Yeah, marginal. Okay, need some paint and carpet. Could use some updating, whatever. I can see from the listing that it's currently rented, so it works. Things work. Whatever, it's there. Okay. I can jump into the spreadsheet and I can say, okay, now put in the address, how many units, how many square feet per unit, how many square feet common area. That educates certain parts of this. Let's say I say 2 apartments and my usual is $7 a square foot, 2 apartments, $1,400 per apartment. That's how much it's going to cost me to paint and floor the property. How many windows?
19.6 right there. Is that what you just looked at?
Yep.
Okay.
2 times 14 times 7 is 19.6.
Gotcha.
Basically. And it gets a little, it starts to feel a little, well, actually this has it only as a it starts to feel a little uncomfortable when you're talking about a single family because, well, how many apartments needs it? It's a single family house. Well, okay, so then the answer here is always going to be 1.
Right.
Whatever. you know, how many units need windows? Well, I don't usually do it that way. I just usually say an average house has 20 windows. So one house needs 20 windows, boom. You know, one house needs this much siding, boom. You know, whatever. You know, so it takes a little bit of thought process. It's you know, but it's always this column times this column times this column equals that column. A good example of that is when I get down here with holding costs. Sometimes I'll say, you know, one house has 3 months holding at 350, but sometimes I'll just look at it and say, you know what, I need that to be $3,000, so I'm going to make it 10. Boom, that's $3,500. I need $3,500 in holding costs. You know, HVAC. Maybe 2 apartments need heating, but they don't need $5,000 in heating. They need $1,000 in heating. So I'll go 0.2. Boom. You know, the heating doesn't need to be replaced, it needs to be touched up. At the end of the day, you know, you're filling this, you're changing these numbers if you know better, you're changing these numbers by default. But really what you're doing is you're watching that number and making sure, if you don't know better, that's fine. But making sure, if you do know better, making sure that it doesn't look absurd. Like if I was doing an all electric heat house, you know, and let's say it needed, let's say 2 units needed completely new electric heat. I know electric heat's going to run me $2,500 a unit if I hire a professional electrician to do it. I know I can probably do it myself for about $1,000. Boom. So yellow if you know better. If you don't, leave it alone. And so what happens then is this spreadsheet here, the rehab spreadsheet, gives us 2 numbers. Gives us a rehab number and a holding cost number. We come to our rental spreadsheet. How many units? What's the rent? Average rent. You know, if you've got a bunch of units, they're all different averages. No, not so much. You don't have to bother with that. You know, like if they're all different sizes, you just take the total gross rent, divide by the number of units, boom, boom. Because I wasn't going to mess with putting in 9 different apartments or 12. You know, I couldn't figure out how many apartments people were going to use, so I left it like this.
Okay.
And here we put in all the expenses. Boop, 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 boop. So then I have 19.2 as my gross rent, 3,000 as my annual expenses. So my AGI is 16,000, 19 minus 3. I want a cap rate of 10%. That building's worth $161,000 finished value on the market. I give a little bit of a discount because it's Scranton. I take out my rehab and holding costs, which are drawn from here.
Okay.
And I should actually make that a red field. I should make that a not fill in field. And I should make this a not fill in field. So it tells me, okay, this building's worth 148. I'm going to take 61,000 to get it there. I can spend $86,000 on this house right now. Well, obviously this is not true about the Elm Street house. The Elm Street house actually is worth about the 129. It's, if not more, that it's showing. Dude, all right. Okay. All right. So then that's your AGI. Maintenance vacancy management is whatever percentages you want for those fields gives us our NOI. You enter the cap rate you want. If it's a 10,000 NOI, 10% cap rate, 103 minus my rehab, that's what's left, minus my wholesale fee. That's the most I could offer on this fictitious property as an investor looking to wholesale the deal as a rental. We then come to our flip number. Our flip number is, we put in what the middle average comp is on the property. Now, one tool I can give you guys as well is I can send you the login for this, and you'll enter in And from here, you can gain some information about what the region is, what things have listed for, what things have sold for. You can do some comp work and like that. And so you come out and you say, okay, it's worth 129, not dollars, $1,000. I always pad everything by 10% because I want to sell fast. I want to sell under market. I then take out 70%, which is this industry standard. So I can spend no more than $81,000 on this house. And here again, these two numbers here, which actually, in my new formula, I should turn them into reds because you're not supposed to fill them in because they come from somewhere else. They come, of course, from back here. Purchase incoming. I pretty much know an average closing is going to cost me $2,500. Probably on a closing of this size, it's going to cost me a little more. But whatever. You fill in the number that fits there. When you sell it, I'm going to have 2% transfer tax. I'm going to have 6% realtor. I'm going to pay my lender 10% on a flip. I'm going to have a wholesale fee of whatever. So all of a sudden, if we're spending this much on the rehab, this house is a dog. Woof, woof ain't going to work. You know, if then in that case, then you go back and say, why do I have such a huge rehab number? You know, what, you know, am I right? You verify. And again, you've already entered this into the formula, into rather into the spreadsheet, the enter calculation spreadsheet. So now I can look in live. You can call me up and say, Steve, listen, I got this deal. The rental spreadsheet tells me that it's worth, worst case scenario, $35,000. The flip spreadsheet tells me to run for the hills. It's never going to be worth squat. You know, what's going on? And we can look at it. Now, this could entirely be valid. 1,000%, this could be valid that it's not going to work as a flip. It's just not. And it's not going to work as a flip because look at that. You know, if you want to know, you went from $36,000 to -4. Well, you get $34,000 in profit here, which is your profit from your flip. It should be there. It's fine. You know, you've got $7,000 to the realtor, $2,000 on selling it again, which if you'll notice, actually over here on the rental, I don't have buying and selling costs because the landlord's usually not going to count those things. But I've got expenses here that don't exist here. So these numbers aren't always going to be the same. They miraculously will sometimes end up being the same. Sometimes they will end up being the same number. Almost always, if it's going to end up being the same number, it's going to end up being this number. It's almost never going to end up being that number. So we've done our flip. So we know what our flip offer would be. And we've now analyzed our exit strategies. And we said, okay, look, you know, this deal is going to work as a rental. It's not going to work as a flip. Now, what I forgot to show you on the spreadsheet is the cash on cash returns. You tell it what your down payment is for your bank. Whoopsie. It calculates how many dollars that actually is of these NOI values. So after, you know, how much you can put in, including repairs. Profit takes the number from the mortgage calculation and plugs it over here. So B26, which is your right here, minus 12 times your mortgage payment gives you your cash on cash return. So it's saying how much money you're putting in your pocket divided by, okay, so cap rate, which is either AGI or NOI, I don't care. Remember, cap rate is always Find my pen. Cap is always profit over the total deal cost. So a little Zoom window just disappeared. Cap rate is your profit divided by that, or that divided by that, whichever. That's your cap rate. Now you've already determined your cap rate to a certain extent. You've already said my cap rate needs to be this. But if you're calculating cap rate based on the other numbers in the formula, because it's always cap equals profit over cost. Well, if you've determined, so in the other formula, we're in the spreadsheet, we're saying value, which is the same thing as cost actually, equals I'm tripping myself up here. You're then doing profit over cap is value. So if your profiting is 10K and your cost is 100K, then obviously it's 10% cap rate. If your profit is 10K and you want your cap rate to be 10, it's also going to end up being 100K. It's just, it's kind of standard algebra, kind of move stuff around. So cap is all profit, either NOI or AGI, over all money to purchase. Coming over here, cash on cash is your pocket money, meaning your net profit after mortgage, divided by your spend. So your cash on cash is how much you're putting in your pocket divided how much you're taking out of your pocket. This is personal. This is deal. Now, if it's an all cash deal, these are the same because obviously there's no bank contribution. But one of the reasons they always say you want to borrow money on rentals is because you always want to borrow money on rentals is because what happens, look what your cap rate is and look what your cash on cash return is. This is the leverage that is brought to you when you use a lender. If you bought the thing fully for cash, it's this.
What are you pointing at there when you're saying it's what?
So if you bought it for cash, if you no bank whatsoever, your cap rate is your cash on cash return because there's no other money. It's all your
Correct.
money. So if you made the numbers work for a 10% cap rate, you're making 10% of your money.
Right.
But the exact same 10% deal, if you got an 80% loan to value mortgage, you've got a 42% cash on cash return.
Nice.
Because instead of putting 10,000 in your pocket on 103, you're putting, let's say, 7,000 in your pocket on 20,000 out. You're putting less in your pocket because you're paying money into mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also taking less out of your pocket because you're using a bank for the other 80%. So it's kind of a balancing act. The more money, if money is not an issue, if you have the money and it's only sitting in a piss poor savings account for 5% or 2% or whatever, and that money is going to sit there anyway, and you don't want to buy 5 times as many properties, because keep in mind, if you're doing 20% downs, you can buy 5 times as many properties if you use a bank for the other 80%. You know, you can either put 100,000 into one deal, or you can put 20 into 5 deals for the same 100. So, but if you say, okay, I'm not going to do that. I want one house. I want to make 16,000 profit a year. Boom. I'm going to buy one house that's going to make me 16,000 a year, and I'm done. So that is your cash investor. You're locking yourself at cap rate. With cash on cash return, you're reducing how much money you're taking into your pocket every month because you're paying a bank. But on a percentage basis, that's a bad percentage. On a percentage basis, you are doing better because you're getting a smaller return, but on a much smaller investment. You're investing 20% of the money, and you're probably getting 60 or 80% the return. So it's always, and that's why they call it leverage. You put the bank here. There's a point at which the bank is right in the middle and is not going to change your numbers. Probably around a 50% loan to value. It's probably not going to change your numbers all that much. But depending on what percentage, and this is of course, you know, the percentage down payment that you're bringing to the deal will vary how big your cash on cash return is versus your cap rate. So this, I can't really animate this, but sort of a balancing act. As you put more of your own money into the deal, your cash on cash return is going to go down because there's more cash. It's being divided by more. Because at the end of the day, any percentage is profit over spend. They're all profit over spend, every single one of them. The question is it total over total, cap, or is it pocket over pocket, which is cash on cash? This is the money you take home every month. This is the money you originally took out to match the bank's money, versus this is the money the house spits out every month, or every year actually, versus the total dollars in the deal. The equation's always the same, it just changes what the terms are. So there's 3 terms that matter. There's AGI, there's NOI, and there's pocket cash. This is over the deal. This is over the deal. This is over your pocket. This is cap. This is cap. This is cash on cash. The only difference between these two is the maintenance, vacancy, management. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So basically now, in a computer suddenly, oh, there we go. That's the part I need. That's not moving either now. That's weird. Huh. My Zoom's acting weird. That's strange. Anyway, all right. So basically what we've got going on here is then the next step is the seller conversation. A lot of times you're doing your seller conversations up here. But in this situation, you've got a seller conversation down here. And this is where, because I like to do my research before I talk to the seller. This is where we say, okay, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, let's look at what you told us. We have these pictures, we have this knowledge base, we have this whatever. We let's verify the facts. The facts are that we think, based on what you told us, based on what we learned, this is the work that needs to be done on the property. You don't run through the numbers so much as you say, you kind of told me the whole place was a crap hole, needs to be repainted. You kind of told me the windows are bad. You kind of told me this. You kind of told me that. Da, da, da. Yes, sir, that's all correct. Great. Based on the pictures you gave us. Yes, that's all correct. Great. You're currently renting it, and this is how the numbers look on your rental, right? Yep, that's all pretty much true. You've had some contractors give you estimates, or some realtors give you estimates on what it's worth. Yep. Okay, fine. Well, based on this information, here's what we think we can do for you. We can make you this offer. And if we're close enough, then we'll go out and see the house. I am not saying you don't see a house just to see a house. Sure. But if you have to pick what's a valuable use of your time, that's where you pick it. I try to make sure we're in the same universe before I take a drive out there, because if I tell them I'm thinking 20 and they tell me they're thinking 100, and I say, well, gee, I'd like to be your realtor, and they say, we don't want a realtor, I didn't need to be in the car for an hour to find that out.
Right.
So I try to get that out of the way now. So that's what this step in the conversation is about. Then you will fill in your other form, which is your post-seller conversation notes, which is really just your notes on the seller conversation. And then you'll adjust the calculators, which brings us back anything you learned on the seller conversation that changes the data here. And that's when we talk and we start making an offer. You give us your final notes, whatever else you know. And then back here we are in table 9. Yep. Back in here, post-calc revision notes. Offer prep, client presentation, listing marketing. So this is why we have merged all of these tools along with our student education program into this table 9 customer relations management software. Nobody forces you to use it. You can do deals outside of this, that's fine. But in order for us to be able to manage deals, we're trying to manage them through here because this is a very powerful software. And so this is really what, George, as you start doing deals that aren't yours, this is really what REIA is all about. Our REIA is all about organizing the information and making sure we follow a standard process. We also have calculators, and these are very basic. These are very raw. These are very rough. These were really intended for students who weren't really paying anything, and they just wanted to kind of, lurk on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And yep, you can do a flip calculation here. Absolutely, it'll do it for you. It'll take all the information, and it'll spit out what your max offer should be. But you can't save it, you can't tweak it, you can't review it. Whereas if you come in and you make an agreement with us to learn through us and to split your deal flow, we'll let you use this spreadsheet. So the calculators are here. They're accessible. They're not that hard to use. But for guys like you, you might as well use the spreadsheet. And that's the reason we charge membership fees. That's the reason we take percentages of deals. And also, I'm not going to be able to do anything if you tell me this spreadsheet told you $4 trillion. Well, this doesn't save anything, so I can't look at it. So I will have I can't go back to this. This is not any kind of thing. links to our videos, links to our classes, links back to REI Post, links over to the RECN library. It ties it all back together. But mostly what this is designed for is this is designed to bring into focus how we want to run our system. If initially we are going to have quizzes and training and testing on here for our students, but initially this was going to be the certification that people got that I talked about under RECN.
Right.
But we decided to move it over to RECN because we don't want other gurus who might use RECN to not use it because they think it's part of a training package. At the end of the day, somebody like Robin Thompson, who taught Than Merrill of Fortune Builders how to get started in the business, she has 55,000 students. I someday hope within the next year, Robin brings her students over here. She won't do so if she thinks this is a front for an education program. And on a legal level, this and this have the same partner, me and one other guy. This is just me. This is me and a wholly different guy. So I'm also not blending I'm not crossing the Ghostbuster streams. But basically that would be the next steps as far as you getting more serious about the education, George, is sort of, us talking about bringing deals through and working deals and whatever and analyzing them. And for your own purposes, using the spreadsheet, which is in here, which I can also send you a link to analyze deals if you decide you want to use it. I will tell everyone that the spreadsheet is only as good as the last person who used it, because anyone who uses it can screw it up. I periodically try to check it, but I can't stop it from getting screwed up. What I do is I periodically replace it with one that I know is good. But it's always, if you put in 5 times 10 and it comes out 20, then there's probably a problem with the spreadsheet, and you probably should let me know.
Okay.
But for the most part, I haven't found anybody that screwed it up. And usually the reds are locked out anyway. Other questions?
So there's not a way to take the spreadsheet and save it external to this on your hard drive or something? And
yeah.
That way. Okay.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. I'll show you that in a second here. Open up a new window because that window's going to get jammed for some reason. Oh, I know. There's still a thing up here. That's what's going on. This thing's getting in the way of the drop down. There we go. Let me do it over here. Oh, that's weird. What it's doing with that? Yeah, there we go. You go up here. Once it fully loads. Still thinking about it. There we go. Go under File, Download. I'm not sure why my browser is kind of jammed up. I think I might be having internet trouble. But you go to File, Download, and you save it to your desktop. Or you can always save it if you want to keep it on Google Sheets. You save yourself a copy of it and just make that a bookmark on your own thing.
There you go. Yeah.
Either way, I'm not quite sure why my computer is acting this way, but whatever. I think it's just a typical Windows machine. Doesn't like to be danced around this much. But yeah, so I mean, for you guys, these spreadsheets are much better than the calculators that are here. I hope to grow this over time, but honestly, Raymond and a couple other guys were so great bringing in deals. I kind of am spending less time over here and more time analyzing deals. Any other questions, thoughts, anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you. This was a good walkthrough.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and basically Raymond, obviously, George, you, Bob, and I came up with this. I'm going to yell at him for not showing up. It was his damn idea. But every 2 weeks, every other Wednesday, basically, we're going to be here from 7:30 to 8:30, just doing a little. It's not going to be this kind of a seminar most of the time. It's going to be, I want it to be a networking meeting, basically to replace the network meeting people aren't doing now in their local communities. So that's that. So moving forward, Raymond, that's kind of the purpose. Anything else?
No.
And George, I do have some feelers out from more properties for you. Oh yeah, there was one I wanted to show you.
Oh, okay. And I know I sent you those links that we talked about yesterday, and I sent you another one today. But we could talk about those again tomorrow. But what was the one that you wanted to show me?
Yeah, let me jump back to that. I mean, we also talk about those deals now. Let me just cut off the YouTube.